1 year ago, I made a video called How to Fix Overwatch. This was at a time where the community morale was at one of its lowest. You see, just a month before, the game kinda got its back blown out by Marvel rivals. It was so bad that Overwatch was sent to a hospital and straight to the emergency room. Many people wrote the game off, said she was as good as dead. But not this guy. I stood by her side, flowers and all, awaiting the full recovery.
Never back down, never what?
Never give up!
That's right!
Because if there's anything that nearly 10 years of Overwatch taught me, it's that even the most unwinnable games can still be won. And so, I got the pencil and paper out and started brainstorming. How could Overwatch win? How could Overwatch be fixed? If you want to see what I cooked, definitely check out the video for it. But for the sake of this one, all you need to know is since then, about half of what was suggested in that video has been implemented, and Overwatch is not just surviving, but thriving and breaking records again. We're talking the highest player count it's ever had on Steam, Twitch viewership in the 100K, and for the first time ever, it's actually throwing up competitive numbers with Marvel rivals. And again, this is on the Steam launcher. We don't know how many players are on Battle.net. And so today's video is me retelling the recent events that have unfolded, as well as giving some thoughts and predictions on what's to come. Let's take it from the top, the Overwatch Spotlight video. This video has to be one of the best pieces of media they put out in a long time. Even way before this was a thing, lead director Aaron Keller was making comments that for the 10th year of Overwatch, it would be the biggest year they've ever had. With a statement like that, the bar's set pretty high. Even so, I keep my expectations low because we all know what happened last time the bar was set too high. So I'm over here thinking, okay, maybe they release 2 or 3 heroes, a couple small changes, and call it a day. Nope! These absolute maniacs released the first cinematic in 2 years, and it's a banger. A battle between Vendetta, whose mobster father was killed by Talon, and the lead of Talon himself, MF Doom. You already know your boy Doomfist spent the first half of the battle straight aura farming. But in the end, spoilers, Doomfist fucking dies. Just kidding, we all know Sigma saves him. But Vendetta straight up chopped off his arm, so now what? Furthermore, is he just gonna use his tiny hand more, or? So many questions. But one thing's for sure, after years of stagnation, the story of Overwatch is finally moving again. Immediately after the cinematic, we get this ominous scene of the Talon table and the head chair spinning, only to reveal the true villain of Overwatch, Aaron Keller. He then casually drops a bomb on us saying we're getting 5 heroes at the start of the season and another 5 throughout the year. And the crowd goes nuts. 2 heroes? Okay. 3 heroes? Good enough. But 5 heroes? I don't think anyone was expecting that. So the new heroes, let's talk about them. But before that, let me read you guys an article from 2017. It's an interview starring the former Overwatch director, Jeff Kaplan. The question he's asked is, have you ever thought about making a cat hero? To which Jeff answers, there was this one hero that was a huge internal debate on the team because we just loved it so much, but it didn't make it. It was this jetpack and it had a cat that laid in it like a cat does. Then every once in a while it would paw at the controls. It was a cat in a jetpack. That was one of those moments that helped define Overwatch. We just went, yeah, that's probably too far. But yes, we had a cat hero. GameSpot follows up by saying, that sounds incredible, you should bring it back. Jeff responds, I just can't imagine it from first person, seeing those little cat paws. About 1 year later, they went on to release Wrecking Ball, which is pretty funny to me. Then at some point, this clip happened.
That's all I'm gonna say.
It's not definitely. I said we were never making Jetpack Cat.
No, why are you gonna hurt me like this?
Never, ever. That would be so ridiculous.
And then after a total of 8 years and some change, we finally have the Jetpack Cat. I've been manifesting this one for a hot minute now. The last thing that will save Overwatch, release Jetpack Cat. Nothing would break the internet more than a flying cat with a flamethrower. Thank you. And they actually did it. So now that she's here, what are we thinking? First impression for me is, I thought this hero is crazy broken. I mean, you've got this support cat that picks up teammates on a short cooldown and flies around the map at the speed of light and just sets up some of the craziest plays Overwatch has ever seen. You show this gameplay to Overwatch players from 2016, they'll have a heart attack and shit themselves at the same time. Okay, but how bad is she really? Yeah, so she's banned just about every game, But that doesn't necessarily mean she's broken. I mean, if we pull up the stats, she has a decent win rate in every rank, but if we sort it Grandmaster to Champion, it's nothing crazy. Where I weigh in on this is I think her general strength is in catching people off guard and having good survivability. But if you keep tabs on her, the value falls off pretty fast, which is why I assume her shenanigans don't work as well in GM. If there's anything broken, it's going to be the strategies with that lifeline ability because, yeah, it's a little hard to stop. Her ult where she drags her enemies to the Shadow Realm is brutal, but it's single target and can be pretty reasonably outplayed. So for the most part, I think Cat is a close to balanced hero. Moving on to the next hero, Domina. Domina, more like You know what? I'm not gonna make any of those cringe jokes. I'm getting too old for this, guys. Instead, I will say Domina looks like a very nice lady with a big personality and classiness. So yeah, she a baddie. Such a baddie that she gets banned every game. Yeah, it's pretty bad. It's to the point that I just stopped queuing tank because I'm tired of being disappointed every game. I love hero bans until I decide to main whatever the new hero is. Because when I do, I'm not actually maining that hero because they're just banned. Overwatch players just hate change, I guess. To be fair though, she's not the most fun hero to play against. They really just said, what if we got shields from Overwatch, but like more? Her gun's fun to use. Her boop is okay. Crystal explodey thing is cool, but a little annoying to play against. But oh god, is her ultimate terrible. I mean, it's gotta be competing for worst tank ult in the game. For those of you who don't know, she shoots a projectile that encapsulates enemies in a ticking time bomb barrier. Sounds OP, how do you counter it? Shoot. That's it, just shoot. Do enough damage to burn through 450 HP. Oh, and if you don't, that's okay, because you probably did enough damage to not die to it. So yeah, the ult is cheeks. Overall, I feel neutral about Domina. I would like to play her more, but not with these ban rates. Based off the stats, she for sure needs a nerf. Something's gotta happen to that shield because these poor saps in 6v6 are willingly playing double shield in the big 2026. So yeah, nerf that and buffer ult. Next on the list is going to be my personal favorite of the 5, Emre. I was not expecting to like this hero half as much as I do. On first glance, he just looks like another Soldier 76. And to be fair, he kind of is, but with a twist. If you squint really hard, you can see it. Emre is Master Chief. He is the ultimate what if we put Halo gameplay into Overwatch. To some people, I'm speaking another language right now, but as someone who was born and raised on Halo before Overwatch, this hero is something I never knew I wanted. All of my years of playing Alien Grenade Throwing Simulator has built up to this point in history because it's like I never forgot how to use that skill. Losing a 1v1? No problem, just throw 2 grenades off the wall. Enemy hid behind cover? Yeah, not in my Halo, buddy.
Bro, that is so Halo. I can't get over it. That was so Halo, dude.
It's not only the nades either. His gun is pretty much a battle rifle. His pistol makes you feel like you're moon jumping. And I mean, they knew what they were doing with the critical health and regen sounds. The only not so Halo thing is the ultimate, but I think it's fun and it definitely feels like one of the stronger DPS ultimates. I don't think he competes for the sniper role like Widowmaker, Hanzo, or Ashe, but there's a good argument to pick him over Soldier or Cass, and that's where it all comes back to the nades. If the nade goddess wills it and the map geometry is favorable, both the spam damage and kill potential is not to be slept on. He can also play more aggressive versus dives thanks to the lifesteal and move speed on his pistol. So in short, Emre is goated. Okay, maybe the stats say otherwise, but he's fun as hell, and if you ever played Halo, you have to try him. Also, if they collab, I want everybody to know that it'll be the fastest I ever cave into a microtransaction. Okay, we talked about a hero that I love, now let's talk about one that I hate. Mizuki. Why do I hate him? Just listen to him talk.
Oh, that wasn't very nice. Got a problem?
Where were you last night? Shikasa said she couldn't get a hold of you.
If I told you, I'd have to kill you.
Ugh. Can't you answer normally for once?
Nah, I like making you mad. If we don't move the payload, I'm gonna get mad.
Why does bro talk like that? Also, his character design is okay, but they did him pretty dirty with that first skin. As far as gameplay, he was the hero I was least excited about off the first impression. After playing him for a bit, I'm still kinda unimpressed. I feel like his gameplay loop is very one-dimensional. All of his kit is close range, so you kinda just throw down a temporary translocator, go in, farm some aura multiplier, maybe take a duel, translocate back, rinse and repeat. Maybe sometimes you'll go in without using it or just save it to evade dives. It just feels like there's very little room to innovate when you play this hero. Really, the coolest thing he does is the poor man's hook ability. Don't even get me started with the ultimate. It feels weak to use and playing against it is annoying as hell. It's got Marvel Rivals influence written all over it. but at least it doesn't last half a millennia like the support ults in that game do. So yeah, if Mizuki has million numbers of fans, I am not one of them. If Mizuki has 10 fans, I am not one of them. If Mizuki only have one fan, that is not me. If Mizuki has no haters, that means I am no longer on the earth. If world against the Mizuki, I am with the world. Hashtag hate Mizuki till my last breath. But in all seriousness, I know a lot of people like this hero, and I'm happy for them. Not everything has to be for me. Last but not least, we have the Firebender Onron. I like her design, except for one thing, her face. If you don't live in the Overwatch bubble, you probably missed out on some of the discourse about that very thing. I feel like there's been some confusion over the topic, that people think this is a woke thing, that the hero needs to look ugly. Well, I'm here to say that's not really what it is. There's two problems. The first problem is they presented her in various medias before as Wu Yang's tough big sister, to all of a sudden, now her in-game model looks completely different. She's looking young and fragile. So it's like they pitched a tomboy and instead shipped a princess. So yeah, some people like their tomboys, that's why they're mad. However, I will say that Overwatch has had this problem with inconsistent art for a while. I even called it out a few years ago with Venture and Juno. The second problem, and I think the bigger one since it affects most people that interact with the game, it's that female heroes are starting to look all the same. I think in this case it would be easily fixed by just making her look older. We need some love for the older women. Hey, and give your mother a kiss for me and tell her my DMs are open. Before I move on from the previously mentioned controversy, Aaron Keller gave a quick update afterwards, confirming that they've heard player feedback and are looking into giving Onron a face transplant.
The team is currently discussing what it will take to make Onron look and feel more like the fierce older sister that we all envision her to be.
Okay, so finally, her gameplay. I kind of did a whole video giving my thoughts on her on the second channel, so if you want an expanded and exclusive Yap Sesh on that or other things, be sure to head over to that channel. But to give you guys the long story short, her kit feels counterintuitive. She's a flanker whose win condition is to do enough opening pop shots to ignite an enemy, and from there she can start doing actual damage. But like, the thing with flankers is, you need your engage to get a kill or do a lot of damage. Going in and tickling the enemy for a few seconds and calling that a distraction is an option, but not the best when you're trying to justify this hero over the many other flankers. She just feels a little too gimmicky for my taste, and more than anything, I feel like she's lacking montage potential. You pretty much have to ignite an enemy to kill them, so each kill takes several seconds unless it's after the ult, in which case it can sometimes be 1 to 2 fans per kill, which they could do better. Aside from the new heroes, they changed up the UI, which I kinda didn't like at first because me caveman. Change bad. But now that I've actually taken a second to understand what all the buttons do, it's warmed up to me. One thing's for sure, this definitely beats hearing the obnoxiously loud background sounds that we just had to tank before. There was this one during Halloween where Reinhardt was getting electrocuted and he was just shrieking at the top of his lungs, and anyone sitting in queue was just forced to listen to that on repeat. Good times. At one point during the spotlight, they mentioned bringing back the end screen cards, but not as cards, as something different. Hopefully it looks cooler than what we're seeing on screen. It does say artwork not final, but they also said that they're adding a post-game match voice chat so that players can say nice things to the enemies. And of course, what's an update without a big balance patch? It's just way too much reading for me to go over here, but the gist of it is some hero changes, but also a lot of perk changes. They added some new ones, brought back old ones, tier swapped a few, but by far the highlight of the patch notes was the removal of role passives and the introduction of sub-role passives. This is basically their way of tuning passives to be more useful for each type of hero. For example, specialists get an increased reload speed on eliminations. This is useful for a hero like Soldier 76 because reloading is usually what he does after a kill. However, a hero like Vendetta doesn't need a reload, so you can see why her having that passive wouldn't make much sense. I like role passives. I don't think it's anything revolutionary like perks were, but it's still a nice addition to the game. And finally, the big one. They dropped the 2 off of Overwatch 2. This is massive in its own way. It's symbolic. People have been asking for this, and the Overwatch team took the opportunity to once again prove that they're listening. No ego, they just came to their senses and got rid of the big ugly 2 that nobody asked for. With all that done, they're already hyping up next year to be an even bigger year, which, if I'm being honest, as far as the wow factor, I don't think it's possible to outdo this year. Up until recently, they were kind of the underdogs, and they pulled out every party trick in the book, so yeah, I don't know what they do from here. But hey, I'm rooting for them. Maybe they announce Overwatch the movie, or maybe PV... Yeah, never mind. That's just a bad idea. How about you guys let me know what you think in the comments. What brought you back? What keeps you playing? And where do you want the game to go? Finally, I want to share my favorite quote from Aaron Keller. We want to make the game that players want to play. If you ask me, I think they're doing it.